I have the great pleasure of introducing Tom Revy, Managing Director of the Evion Group. A little bit about Tom. Tom Revy has over 35 years experience in the resources industry, including 14 years experience as a listed resources company director. With a background in metallurgy, Tom's forte lies in project development, taking assets from exploration through to operations. Tom founded Evion and listed the company in 2018 as Black Earth Minerals and has overseen the growth of the company from primarily a single exploration asset company through to what it is today, a vertically integrated graphite company with 3 advanced development assets, the details of which he's going to present to you now. Please welcome Tom Revy.
Good afternoon, honoured guests, visitors to this great state of Western Australia, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm going to present to you the story of Evion. It's a story that started, as was pointed out, in 2018, when we had a number of early stage exploration assets. Our vision at that stage was very clear. It was to become a material player in the global graphite supply chain. To that extent, where we sit today is we have the project located in the south of Madagascar, which I'll focus on today, given that it's Africa down under. It's 100% owned by us, and it's in pre-construction. The feasibility study's done, the technical financial inputs have been provided, assessed and presented, and are in that final licensing and permitting stage before we break ground, which should be next year. NPV of post-tax $205 million, and I sort of bring that up because the market has copped a hammering of late, and our market capitalisation in Aussie dollar terms is probably close to $11 million or $7 million US dollars. The aim, as I said, is to grow a vertically integrated company in the graphite space, and to that extent we're building right now an expandable graphite facility in India under joint venture with an experienced player over there. The construction should be completed shortly and will be in production by the end of this year with full takeoff in place with an Austrian partner. And finally, at pre-feasibility stage, we're looking at a battery anode material facility. We're currently working in collaboration with a US company, Urbix, who have got extensive experience in downstream processing technology in regards to producing that intermediate product that sits between graphite concentrate and anodes going into the battery market. But I'm going to touch on the graphite market, if I may, to start with, because I just believe it presents an exciting opportunity for those interested in putting a bit of time into it. It's a critical commodity. In fact, it's listed as one of the top 4 critical commodities in the US. Critical commodities are generally defined as they're rated according to supply and also strategic value to major economies around the world. To that extent, I've listed the top 10 economies around the world. And of interest is the fact that every one of them either currently has a gigafactory being built or has serious plans on building them. So they understand we're going through a change, a step change, a permanent step change in terms of future energy generation and management. What they don't have is a lot of production. In fact, if you add up production out of China, Madagascar and Mozambique, it constitutes about 80% plus of global output. And obviously China sits there as a dominant player and producer of this product. This just reinforces the point, if you like. The green circles indicate on the left-hand side the fact that China currently produces around 68% of the world's natural graphite, far more in terms of percentage and control than any of the other critical commodities that we're talking about. In regards to anode production, and anyone here today who has a lithium-ion battery, and that's literally everyone because they've got phones, you've got laptops, etc., that graphite's gone through China. That's the sort of control they have. And end users are concerned, particularly during these geopolitical times of tension, that could have a massive effect moving forward. And we want to take advantage of that, and consequently we're investigating the potential to build a battery anode material plant in Europe. And so on and so forth, through the cathode, anode and ultimate cell manufacturing. China is a dominant player. Now this is a particularly interesting one for those, particularly in the investment game. As it turns out, everyone's fully understanding the criticality of lithium. We see it all the time. The herd mentality is in place in regards to investment. But interesting to note that the yellow line representing flake graphite actually is more critical than the others in respect to supply deficit moving forward. It actually occurs in a very, very material way sooner than the likes of lithium and nickel and needle coke, which is where synthetic graphite's made. Benchmark Minerals estimates that the current production of graphite needs to expand by about 6-7-fold by 2035, which represents about 97 new mines. And I'm here to tell you that those mines currently don't exist, and I'll be very, very surprised if they get up and running, because they'll need to produce a very specific graphite with very specific properties. And this isn't just Benchmark as an independent expert in regards to graphite. This is also Fast Markets. This is Wood Mackenzie, the old Roskills, and even Macquarie put out a report recently. So these are people in the know who are flagging right now that graphite is a commodity we need to take very, very seriously moving forward. And this kind of summarises the point in terms of the market. An irreplaceable component of the global decarbonisation. We've made this step change, we're going down that path. Graphite is a key component moving forward. And it's not just lithium-ion batteries that I'm talking about. I'm talking about the other cells that exist, the vanadium flow batteries, the hydrogen fuel cells, and it's also a key component to the nuclear energy. So we can't live without it. It's recognised by the G10 as being critical. They have money, they have power, and it's only a matter of time before the focus shifts to graphite. And of course, the supply chain concerns and pending supply deficit. So let's flick on to the Madagascar project. These are 7 key factors which I look at in ascertaining the value of any project, and none of them can be ignored. You have to have all 7 for a successful project, and I believe we have exactly that. Located in the south of Madagascar, we're situated on a road that connects us with 2 ports, Fort Dauphin, which is the Rio Tinto port for which we have access to, as well as the port of Toliara. Nextsource Material is located some 50-60 kilometres to our north, and they've recently got into production. They're treating the same material in terms of geology and mineralogy. They're using the same logistics. They're dealing with the same local stakeholders. And so this completely validates our plan and our vision in terms of becoming a material player in that graphite space as a concentrate producer. The benefits of Madagascar. Over 100 years of graphite history in terms of mining and export. The skills are there, the geology, the metallurgy, the mining engineering, those skills are freely available there, and that's a great asset to have in country. The new mining code, which will come into effect once finally passed, extends the benefits through to local stakeholders. They will be part of the owners in respect to the benefits of royalties and other benefits as well. There's no free carried interest here, ladies and gentlemen, so while others are standing on the podium and talking about MPVs, I'm here to tell you that as 100% owner of the project, that MPV number is directly translated to the benefit of our shareholders and not a percentage thereof. And graphite mines are continually being developed, expanded, and new opportunities identified. It's got attractive and competitive tax and royalty systems. So for us, we want to be there and we want to develop this mine sooner than later. Very high level sort of highlights in respect to the project. This came out of the feasibility, which we published in November last year. As I said, a post-tax MPV of $200 million, or about 300 million Australian dollars. Enormous expansion potential. We have 18 years in respect to reserve life, which gives banks great comfort. The reserve is 16 million tonnes, the resource 40, so we have a 40, 50-year mine straight away, and the exploration target is governed largely by outcropping graphite mineralisation at surface, which has been calculated around the 260 to 380 million tonnes. So this is potentially a 100-plus year mine, and we'll continue to do exploration and expand the horizon. It also gives us the opportunity to expand the output of the project fairly readily. What do we need to do? Well, as I said, we're in this permit licensing and a final agreement mode. Post-DFS, my colleague David Rand, our finance director who's here today, is busy working on finalising binding offtakes and project finance. And once all the agreements are placed with the government, we'll be ready to do FID. The quality of the sample is second to none. We've had that tested not just by independent laboratories around the world, but also by Tier 1 end users who have qualified at the samples provided. It's also the benefits of a systematic and quality approach to the way that we've approached the Minery project itself. The DFS, I said, was completed late last year to a Class 3 estimate, plus or minus 15%, and meets IFC performance standards. The resource work was completed, as was the hydrogeological and geotechnical work, by quality globally recognised consultants. The engineering and costing also by CPC Engineering, who have extensive experience in graphite. And finally, the CapEx was independently audited once completed and presented to the board and benchmarked. The path forward, which I mentioned, we recently submitted our environmental, social and impact assessment. That's with the ONE, a government authority in Madagascar, who we're currently working with in regards to further questions and elaborating on certain aspects. We're currently working on the resettlement action plan with top-tier consultants, finalising the offtake arrangements, which I mentioned, and project finance. We're working on ongoing social and community support activities, which we see as paramount towards the successful development of the project before we hit FID. As it turns out, we're not only being assessed independently on an ESG basis by a UK company called Digby's, but we also find ourselves and having the commitment towards the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals. It's something that once you put in place is far easier to update as you move along the development pipeline and ultimately towards operations. Madagascar project, the Minery project itself, has significant upside. We've only scratched the surface, 10 to 15% exploration over that area. The green areas, which I hope you can see even down the back there, represent graphite outcropping. For us, that means that you can walk for about 7 kilometres and kick nothing but graphite rocks. It's a beautiful place to be. It's a graphite domain more than a project. The DFS was done late last year, 2022 pricing, which is probably the most expensive time anyone's ever done a feasibility study. And since that time, and talking with our engineers of late, we've seen significant material reductions in respect to components that go into the CapEx and OpEx, including logistics costs and power costs. The downstream processing plans we have in place by way of India and the US collaboration agreement to build a BAM plant in Europe really allows our shareholders to be exposed to an uplift in price and greater profits. The green energy component that we have, which is a solar hybrid boot arrangement we're planning to have, not only has the price come down, but we're looking at ways of improving and increasing the percentage, which currently sits at 35%, not only just for green reasons, but financial reasons. And the benefit of roads and port upgrades, which are currently underway, will have material impact on OpEx. We also have an exploration asset to the north. It's called Ianapera, and there's been some exceptional results on this, including 14 metres at 14% total graphitic carbon, 18 at 22%, and 14 at 12%. And to put that in context, the world average is about 5%. So we're really excited about it. It's about 70 kilometres to our north, and it sits It sits right near Nexsource Materials project. The Nexsource Materials has market capitalisation of $200 million. Ienapera project sits some 5 to 7 kilometres north of that project, and with exceptional grades it holds strategic value for us. All 5 tenements are granted mining licences already, and so it provides us with exciting upside in terms of our developing graphite story. Corporately, we're about $11-12 million market cap, which I mentioned. We have a reasonable amount of cash in the bank. We don't have a large cash draw at the moment because of the way we've set the company up. India is taken care of in regards to debt finance, so it's not a cash draw. Our pre-feasibility study is largely funded by our collaborative partners in the US, and we're in that stage where we're not spending a lot of money in Madagascar while we finalise the last of our agreements and licences and permits. The staff, in terms of directors and management, we've gotten this far and we've been so successful because of them. We've got a great team of people with extensive graphite experience, African project development experience, commercial experience, project finance experience, and the list goes on. And you need that to be successful, and it's a team we certainly have in place. And finally, company overview. I believe it's a compelling opportunity from an investment point of view. I've pointed out the low market cap we have, and we have 100% as ownership of all our projects, as I mentioned earlier, which has a strong benefit for our shareholders. Our downstream processing plans in regards to India and the battery anode material puts us in a very unique and attractive position. The diversity product mix that we anticipate producing out of Mineri means that we're not exposed to a single market, but that we have a number of markets, so it lowers the risk for our shareholders. The scale of the resources and exploration targets means that we can expand the project several times over and still maintain a very long mine life. 18 years of reserve life provides up around about, in round numbers, 5 times payback period, which gives great comfort to debt financiers. And finally, the thorough product testing that we've undertaken in all our key product lines has returned very, very exciting results and puts us again in a very favourable position. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for your attention and persistence for being here today this late. Thanks very much.